spring orchestra concert. I'm the 8th grade orchestra director, and myself and Hunter Alt, our elementary and high school director, would like to welcome you to our spring concert. We are so excited to feature all of our students this evening, but as you might see in your program, we have a lot of special guests. And so we are very excited for this program we've been working on. Please make sure that your cell phone is silent. You are encouraged to discreetly take pictures and videos. We will have a YouTube recording of this also, but please be discreet so that everybody can see and enjoy the performance. Please stay seated for the entirety of each piece. They're not too long, so please stay seated. And Mr. Alt and I are not going to talk too much, as you can hear my voice is a little rough already this evening, but we hope that you'll follow along in the program and look forward to this evening of music making and orchestra. I am going to start by introducing David Anderson, who's going to be conducting the first piece. He is the Lake Geneva Symphony Orchestra conductor, and he has worked with the 8th grade orchestra a few times on this first piece, Mantras. So he is our first guest, David Anderson from Lake Geneva Symphony Orchestra.
very much. I did ask Mr. Clement if I could say a few words. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. It's been my great privilege to work with these very talented students the past few weeks. And I wanted to just say, take a look around the room. This is amazing. Look how many students are here playing string instruments. I want to give all of them. You should know that teachers are absolute rock stars. Clement, Mr. Alls, please give them I know that it would be sad to leave this in the middle school orchestra. We didn't have Mr. Alts in high school. So I definitely encourage you to continue playing because Mr. Alts is amazing. We've had a chance to work with him various times, so he'll be your teacher coming up in the future. And I also do want to mention one really quick thing. We do know now, we have all kinds of scientific studies that show when students take private lessons when they play instruments whenever they are this age, and they continue playing when they get to high school, their test scores are better in all subjects. And so not only is music just a lot of fun to play, you can work with amazing teachers, but at the same time, you can actually do better in all the subjects whenever you're in music. So congratulations for playing so well, for being in orchestra, and for continuing to play. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Is the 6th grade orchestra. We're going to be starting with the fiddle tune, Stone Mountain Step. grade is a piece featuring one of our awesome first grade teachers, Miss Derrick, who will come up here. Let's give her a big round of applause. She got lots of tips from the orchestra students on how to hold, she's actually playing a viola, so little viola. How to hold a viola, vocal, all that good stuff. And she will be featured on this piece. Here we go. Guest soloist, deep breath. Said it's normal here. It's a good thing. We need to care. Here is guest soloist.
graders, first song for you is called Allegro. Please enjoy Allegro. So one quick thing we want to point out before we play Ode to Joy is we've been working on some advanced technique in the 4th grade. Cellos and basses and shifting, which is where we move our hand up our instrument. So they've been doing lots of that for Ode to Joy, so make sure you check out the cello and bass section for that. And our violins and violas have been working on adding their 4th finger strokes. So fingers they don't really use, so watch those for those lower strings as we call it. Bile and Cabbage down.
pieces with strings and winds and choir. And this is just a lot of fun putting it together with string players and the wind players. We have winds from LGMS and also from Badger High School and string players from Badger High School too. So it's a really great collaborative effort, and the students have done a great job, and I appreciate them making symphony music with me after school on Wednesday. We're going to start with the Tempest, so that'll be our first piece. Then we're going to give you a little snippet of Don't Stop Believin' from Journey's Greatest Hits, and then we will finish with Sword Days. And the excerpt from the Don't Stop Believin', that's just something we tried. We also played through Ode to Joy and Warrior Legacy, which kind of explored some different types of music in Symphony Club. But those are the ones we're going to play for you tonight. So here is the Tempest.
Thank
All right, as I'm making my way over, we're going to have a 5th grade orchestra. We are starting with a piece called Red Lion. Red Lion.
Next up is Pepperoni Pizza Rock. We're going to have some solos this evening. So the soloist will make sure to stand when you play your solo. They'll be improvising on 4 measures. So Hazel, Audrey, Senia, Caitlin, and Gabby in that order. So big round of applause for them. But these students want to play for the concert. So here's Pepperoni Pizza Rock. If we can have, for the middle school students, can the seventh graders make their way to the front of the middle school setup? And then eighth graders are still in that setup if you want to head to the bleachers.
So as we're getting set up, I'll just read a few of the middle announcements. First up, a few thank yous. First up, thank you to our custodians for helping us set everything up. Huge thank you to them. Thank you to our administration and tech, Julie Milligan, Dr. Wilson, the school board, and the elementary principals. Thank you to the LGMS colleagues, Kim May, playing piano, and Amanda Josh helping with supervision tonight. The accompanist for elementary orchestra, Kim May, our elementary music teachers, Derrick Van Nelson and Katie Stanfield, our LGMS teachers that are supervising tonight. Thank you all for all of as we continue on, students should keep their instruments over the summer, and they should sign up for summer orchestra. Information is emailed out and posted on Google Classroom and Facebook. The dates and the link to the sign up are on the QR code for the program. You can sign up for that. If you know anyone interested in joining the orchestra, information is also on our program. Our rental night is next week, Thursday, May 22nd, here at LGMS. Sign up for a time and try out some string instruments. Without further ado, we're going to move on to the Fiddle Club. Our first song for the Fiddle Club is the Red Loud Girls. If you enjoy the Red Loud Girls.
is going to conduct the Crawdad Song. Welcome, Kate. The last song that we're going to play for you is called Devious, and this one will also feature some soloists. We both have Maddox, Tango, and Derrick, and Bile soloing on this song. But before we play our last fiddle club song, I would like to recognize Kaylee Metz, if Kaylee would stand. Kaylee is our only 8th grader in the fiddle club this year, and we are so happy to have her in the fiddle club. It's actually her first year, so I'm going to get the fact and check for joining us. But thank you so much, Kaylee, for being here.
as we are completing transitions, I get the privilege of working with these wonderful 7th graders a few times a week, and they are quite a fun bunch to work with. They're always teaching me their new lingo that they use and things like that, so they're always making me smile and keep me on my toes. So without further ado, we're going to 7th grade with Spring by Bile.
very carefully. Alright, this next piece is going to feature Kate Steele on the cello. And performed this piece once before, it was with a professional cellist. But I asked Kate earlier this year if she would be up for performing it with us. Kate is a member of the Milwaukee Youth Symphony and takes lessons, private lessons with Milwaukee Symphony cellist. And she's just an awesome student, so I wanted to feature her. So we will be featuring her on this Tango. It takes one to tango. See, my current students go to the high school and just continue to develop and develop. And thank you to all of the high schoolers that are here tonight joining us, but especially Kate and Kate. This is going to be the last piece that the 8th grade plays just as 8th graders. Here at LGMS, it's been so much fun working with them. And all of the students are going to be participating in music and Cabbage, so that is awesome. They're all going to be participating and continuing in music. So thank you, parents, for supporting all of these students, but especially the 8th graders for the last 5 years. Before we do this piece, I would like to acknowledge the Director's Award winner. So this is something that the students vote on. So the students fill out a form and vote and say why they think that the person should win the award. So I'm just going to read a couple things about that their classmates wrote about them. The reason I'm choosing this person for the Director's Award is because each time I sit next to an orchestra, the way they play sounds so beautiful and precise. They are also nice to all of the students in the orchestra. I think that they should get the award because they're a great influence on the class. I can never see them get mad and always happy to answer a question. Always offering quick encouragement and feedback and very welcoming and helpful. And I have a certificate and medals for the student. And this year we actually have 2 award winners. So we have Becky Roberts. Soloist, so check your program for that.
combined piece, and real quick before our final piece, we have one quick thing we'd like to do real quick. I'm going to pass the microphone over to Katie next, to the front.
Thank you so much, 8th graders. It's been so much fun working with you over the years. Before we do our grand finale here, students, yes, we may start cracking your glow sticks. Just a few reminders, please buy some Swedish chocolates on your way out. And after the concert, students, if you could please help bring all of this back to the music wing. So the chairs on the stage are from the choir room, and the chairs from this setup are from the orchestra room and the hallway, and the red chairs go in the music hallway also. Families, if you could please try to clear the way, so please, if you can wait like in where the cafeteria tables are, so we have a direct route to the music wing, we would appreciate it. It's been such a great year, and we just have had a blast with these students. Mr. Alt and I say we just really think we have the best job, and sometimes it really feels like work, but most of the time